And we're live. Welcome back to Silicon Scoop, everyone. I'm the startup coach, and with me, as always, is my co-host John Irwin. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Craig? I'm liking this weather. I don't know when this is coming out, but it might be a little chilly when this comes out. But today it's nice.
Yeah, this will probably come out mid-December.
Okay.
Mid to early December, and we might as well jump into it. Today we're talking about. Let me put this banner up. Oh, and let me put
What
that
article is
down. What? This is we're talking about the quantum truths, the 73 qubit quantum lie detector.
Oh, the lie detector. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Sorry, just because of this. Yes. Today we're talking. Let's give it a space. Today we're talking about a truly mind-bending breakthrough in quantum mechanics that could accelerate the entire field of quantum computing. Scientists have essentially built a quantum lie detector, a new method to prove that incredibly complex quantum computers we're building are the real deal and not just clever fakes. This is a fundamental step that builds confidence and paves the way for the next generation of quantum technology. So basically, they tell the difference to whether this is a device is acting at a quantum level or it's just acting at a traditional computing level, mimicking quantum.
Yeah. This is cool. So you and I have always talked about this when, like, how do we know it's actually quantum? How do we know that this isn't, that they're not faking it? So here's the thing, right? Put yourself in the shoes. Imagine you bought what claims to be a quantum computer, right? How are you going to prove that it's actually using real quantum effects and not just pretending, like you and I have talked about? So, scientists from a bunch of universities have developed what they call the quantum lie detector. So, using a 73-bit qubit superconducting quantum processor. So think of qubits as quantum bits, which are the building blocks of quantum computers. So they applied Bell's test, who did a famous physics experiment in the 1960s, and what they saw was kind of cool. So they measured energy levels 48 standard deviations below what any classical system could achieve. So to put that into perspective, that's virtually impossible to occur by chance. So it's like flipping a coin and getting heads 48 times in a row multiplied by itself. So what actually makes this groundbreaking is the scale at what this test is. So previous tests worked on small systems, but this test proved that large quantum system up to 73 qubits truly exhibit quantum non-locality, which is the spooky action at a distance. It's that Einstein famously disliked, right? So this matters because it ensures quantum computers aren't just getting bigger. They're actually staying genuinely quantum, which is crucial for future applications in secure communication, cryptography, and other quantum algorithms. What are your thoughts on this, Craig? Do you think that this is helping to validate quantum computing, or do you think this is just another test that we're still kind of skeptical?
Well, I hope it validates it. I'm a little skeptical because we're just getting the information, but I'm sure with some demonstrated reusability of this thing where it's repeatable, repeatability of it, doing the scientific method, that we can discover, yes, this is good. That'd be great. And the Bell's test is the famous test for testing for quantum behavior created by physicist John Bell in the 1960s. The test can tell the difference between quantum and classical systems. So being able to wire this up in a quantum 73 qubit kind of way is very interesting. So they've nicknamed it. Go ahead.
No, keep going.
They've nicknamed it the quantum lie detector. And as you mentioned, it's important because as quantum computers get bigger with more qubits, it becomes exponentially harder to prove they're genuinely quantum. this breakthrough provides an efficient way to test them. So that as we grow, are they actually just computing, or are they doing beyond computing? Are they using the full range of the qubits, or are they just doing ones and zeros? Are they, pulling the quantum universe across multiverses, or is it just sitting here doing nothing? So
Yeah.
yeah, and based on all this stuff, this is supposed to test and verify for that. So I think it's important because we've seen so many fakes in the world that you scratch the surface and it's not there. Things like
There's still that Google chip, or was it Amazon chip?
it
That
was the
were like,
Microsoft topological chip,
yeah,
I believe, with the topological bits that were the problem. We've covered a lot of this, so it depends on which one we're talking about. But yeah, and but just like Theranos and all the AI based stuff that's just ChatGPT on the back end, or it's good to be able to find out, is this truly what they say it is, or is this something else?
yeah. So I don't know if you talked about the previous test, but they typically involve fewer than 10 qubits. And like you said, scaling that up makes things not just harder. Like you said, it's exponentially harder, which means every single qubit just makes things to the power of X harder, right? So that's a significant milestone in demonstrating that large scale quantum processors actually exhibit authentic quantum correlations. So the energy based approach, it's kind of clever because minimizing energy is something that quantum systems do naturally through variational algorithms. And so this makes the test practically implementable on current quantum hardware without requiring exotic measurement schemes, which is kind of cool. So the Bell correlations, they actually provide a more stringent benchmark than entanglement alone, which is kind of interesting. So a system can be entangled without violating Bell inequalities, but violating Bell inequalities proves the presence of quantum non-locality, which is the strongest form of quantum correlation. So this gives hardware developers and users confidence in device performance, which I really like.
Same. And as they expand and grow, to know that we're using beyond the 24 qubit, beyond the 50 qubit, beyond the whatever, that you'll be able to detect these things and say that it's actually using it, that you get to a certain point and it doesn't just scale down and just do normal processing. So as they expand, as they test new systems, I'm really excited that we've got a new way to test this, and that it tests that it's actually, for lack of a better word, being spooky at a distance.
Yeah, what I like about this is it's not just science fiction, it's not just theoretical, it's actually happening now in laboratories in China, in Europe, and worldwide. And where I see right now, we're in the early days of quantum technology revolution. Just like classical computing, when it went from room-sized machines to pocket smartphones, this quantum technology, I feel, is evolving more rapidly, but I could be wrong. But studies like this are going to ensure that we're building on solid quantum foundations, not illusions. So I love this I love this experiment.
Yeah, I'm really excited where this goes, and the fact that there was a huge, massive difference of 48 standard deviations, separated quantum from classical results, means even if it gets closer, there's still a huge deviation that we should be able to continue to tell for quite some time. So the future looks bright as far as multifunction on quantum processing goes.
Yeah, for sure.
So what we're seeing is a bedrock of future quantum technology being solidified. This lie detector isn't a product you'll buy, but it's an impact that will be felt in the speed and reliability of quantum advancements for years to come. It answers a critical question: as we build bigger, do these machines stay truly quantum? The answer, for the first time on a large scale, is a resounding yes. It makes you wonder, what seemingly impossible problems will this new confidence help us solve next? Let us know what your thoughts are. Today, we're exploring a mind-bending discovery that could fundamentally change how we define life itself. We're talking about Sukuna archaeum, which is a bizarre organism that lives somewhere in the gray area between a virus and a living cell. Are zombies in our future, John? What's going on here?
Yeah. So let me try this. So scientists have discovered this microscopic organism that changes our understanding of what it means to be quote unquote alive. So the tiny creature named Sucunaricum maribile, I hope I said that right. If I didn't, feel free to destroy me. So it exists in a biological gray zone between living cells and viruses, which is something that shouldn't be possible according to traditional definitions of life. And as we cover a lot here, we all know that things are pushing the boundaries of definitions and different things like that. So let me put it this way. Think of it this way. Imagine finding an animal that's half bird, half airplane. It has some bird features like feathers and bones, but also airplane features like metal parts and engines. That's essentially what scientists found in the microscopic world. So this organism has some features of living cells where it can make its own proteins and replicate its genetic material, but also behaves like a virus. It can't survive without completely depending on another organism for almost everything. Now, you don't have to worry about this. This creature is so small that its entire genetic blueprint contains only 238,000 letters of DNA. That's less than half the size of any similar organism ever discovered. And to put that into perspective, while some viruses can have millions of generic letters, this living organisms have fewer than many viruses, yet it's still considered technically a cell. So the discovery, it's actually revolutionary because it suggests that the boundary between life and not life isn't a clear line, but rather more of a spectrum. And so it also hints that there might be entire categories of life forms we haven't discovered yet. Surprise, surprise, hiding in the microscopic world and challenging everything we thought we knew about biology. I'm not surprised about this finding, just given how little we know about life and death and things like that. But what are your thoughts, Craig?
Yeah, it seems basically that part of this virus survival mechanism is to strip itself of its own genome to make it smaller and less reliable on things. So the genome reduction as a survival method is incredibly thought-provoking idea.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. So let's talk about cellular versus viral, right? So unlike viruses, which hijack the machinery of their hosts entirely, the Sucunaricum carries some of its own replication tools. So it has genes for ribosomes, tRNAs, and even mRNAs, which are components that are the scaffolding of life and tools by which cells read their genomes and build proteins. Viruses don't have these capabilities. So that's what's making this Sucunaricum an evolutionary paradox, an organism that can replicate its genetic code, but is otherwise almost entirely dependent on its host, which seems weird. So the microbes, quote unquote, intense focus on self-propagation, even at the expense of nearly all metabolic capabilities. It resembles viral strategies, but it stands apart from viruses in one notable way because it can replicate its own genetic material independently. So almost all of the Sucunaricum's identified genes are involved in DNA replication, transcription, and translation, which are capabilities that viruses lack and must hijack from their hosts. So it's interesting. I'm curious to know kind of where it fits in the evolutionary puzzle, if that makes sense. But I think there's a whole lot more to unpack here that we're going to see in the future.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. I know all the stuff I've researched said there's nothing to fear here. But that's today. As we discover new types of things that can survive but need a host to feed off of. Humans make good hosts, and I'm always curious as to how long it takes for that to be the situation. Not necessarily with this, but with something else we discover down the road. Again, that's the pessimist and skeptic in me, but this is a positive one for science. It forces researchers to rethink and potentially rewrite the long established rules and boundaries that define life. And, agree, like how can a fossilized thing be alive? How can this thing strip down to the thing that doesn't have the pieces that we would normally associate with life? How does that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. So the team itself, they're trying to take pictures of the Suchinocarum, which is challenging because it's much less than 1 micron wide, which is 400 nanometers or smaller. And so their future research, it seems like it aims to culture and observe it directly in laboratory conditions to visualize its structure and host interactions, which could inform synthetic biology efforts to create minimal artificial cells. So this suggests that biological reality exists on a continuum rather than discrete categories. So there's a lot of implications here for biology and beyond.
Yeah. Saying that biology and life exists on some sort of scale that we never thought before. There's a lot to really think about here. And,
Yeah.
what are the ongoing replications or moral and ethical implications, never mind, life. If we have these organisms out there that are totally dependent on the host for sustenance, for complete metabolical dependence,
Yeah.
and replication. So, you get this attaches itself to its body and it's replication focused to whatever. So it's just replicating like crazy. If it's feeding off something, I can't imagine that's good to whatever it's feeding off of.
No, absolutely not. The thing is like, how long has this thing been around? We just haven't discovered it yet. So like,
Yeah.
back to don't be afraid, because like I feel like this is just a new discovery of something that's been around forever. But I think by studying it, it's definitely going to help us have a better understanding of biology for sure.
Absolutely. It's probably harmless right now until scientists get their hands on it and start poking and prodding and doing
Weaponizing
weird
it.
stuff with it because they're all want to push the envelope that a little too far. But this is really cool. I like where we're going. Implications for astrobiology. Discovery has significant implications for astrobiology and the search for life beyond Earth. Minimal life signature shows that life can exist with extreme reduced genomes. Demonstrates that host dependent systems demonstrate alternative survival strategies, and evolutionary flexibility reveals the adaptability of cellular life. This reminds me of the 3-body problem. If you read the books, like that, complete disasters can happen, and the other species, I can't remember what it's called, strips itself down to whatever minimum thing, and then when life becomes habitable again, it packs on whatever genomes or expands or whatever, and they become sentient again.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's interesting. I think it's great to watch this. It's really cool to think that we're really pushing beyond the envelopes of what is life, what we thought was life last year or a month ago, and where this is moving forward. I'm really looking forward to where this is going.
Yeah,
So
me
then
too.
that's a wrap. But
Nope, that's it. Just say me too.
yeah, that's a wrap on this incredible look into the very edge of life. Sukanarchaeum reminds us that the universe is far stranger than we can imagine, with countless secrets still hiding in plain sight, even within a single drop of ocean water. It forces us to ask a bigger question, not just about what life is, but where we might find it next. Let us know what you think. Let's talk about cool renewable energy, specifically for places in harsh winters like Canada, where we are now. A new wind turbine, the Nordex N175/6.x has launched, and it's engineered to tackle extreme cold and low wind conditions, which have always been a major hurdle for wind power. This isn't a minor upgrade, it's a game changer that could significantly boost clean energy production where it's previously inefficient or impossible. Like, say, out in the Northwest Territories where there's no population.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this, John?
Yeah, so this is really cool. So just to kind of paint the picture for you, think of ice on wind turbine blades like ice on airplane wings. You've been in planes, if you've flown, they have to de-ice, right? So because it completely disrupts the aerodynamics, and it also can reduce energy production by up to 80%, or it can even force the turbine to shut down entirely. So in cold climates like us here in Canada, this could mean weeks of lost power generation during winter months when electricity demand and prices are typically at their highest, right? So this new turbine solves this problem, and it's using proven technology. So what it does is it essentially heats the blades from within to prevent ice formation, rather than waiting for ice to build up, then trying to remove it. So what this system does is it ensures that the turbine can operate continuously, even during harsh winter storms, maximizing energy production when it's needed most. And apparently it has a 25-year operational lifespan, potentially extendable to 35 years. So this turbine represents a major advancement in making wind energy reliable and profitable in cold climate regions worldwide. As we know, there's a lot of wind up there. So the N175/6.x turbine can function effectively in temperatures as low as minus 30 degrees Celsius, or for you US listeners, minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. Thanks to this anti-icing system, which is really cool. I love this. I think this is great. Obviously, there's a lot of wind in the Arctic and Antarctic and up north. And even here in Canada, in Ontario, there's a lot of cold wind. We get those Arctic, or what the polar vortexes and stuff. I think this is really cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think I'm not 100% sold on wind turbines so far as a whole, because I don't think the technology and the production of energy and the fact that how often they need to be repaired and their maintenance, I don't think they've been really successful, or as successful as they should be. And I'm hoping with things like this that are more robust, that are more efficient in lower winds, we're getting 22% more efficient in lower wind conditions. Yes. More energy comparable to other turbines, that this kind of thing really starts to take things to the next level, where the turbines and the windmills are longer, reliable. They'll work in more extreme conditions so that you don't have to put them as close to where human beings are. So you don't have that NIMBY, not in my backyard effect. And that we can make a lot more stable, clean energy on the grid. So lower carbon emissions, and more of this. So I'm all for it. I love what we're doing here. I love the fact that, I'm always complaining that they're coming out with new technology, but here we are in Canada and it gets cold, and all the technology they come out with forgets about us. And this one really addressing stuff that we have, issues that we have, and the extreme climate. So I'm really happy to see this, and that we're actually moving forward in the wind turbine area. What about you, John? I know you might not be as down on them as I was.
So I think the design is flawed. I think this huge blade design, like these huge, massive blades, I think it's a flawed design. And that's my opinion. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an aerospace engineer, but I think there are much more efficient, smaller forms of wind turbines that can be developed. Now, again, are they able to handle harsh environments? I don't know. But from the research that I've done, there's I think is it Bernoulli? No. Leonardo da Vinci. There's one design that is a phenomenal design. It works in urban areas, but I feel like just like there's so much that can go wrong with these blades. They're massive, they're light, but they're massive. Birds can fly into them. They do generate some noise. It takes wind, a fair amount of wind, I think, to start them up. And again, they're susceptible to ice. So now, if we're talking just this wind turbine, like this design, this technology, I think this is great. I think wind energy in cold climates, from what I gathered, is projected to grow 72% in installed capacity. So this is going to help that for sure.
So I think what you're talking about is vertical access wind turbines that are emerging as a more viable option for
Yes.
urbans and cities and whatnot.
Yeah. So
There's
again, I
probably
don't
a
know.
person who designed it, but
Yeah, so I don't know if they can scale that to replace these massive wind turbines or if it's viable. But I feel like these huge blade designs is just there's got to be a better way. But that's me, and I'm not an expert, so feel free to destroy me in the comments.
and there's all sorts of rules. Like I'm looking right now for residents of Ontario, any wind turbine project must navigate a full layer of regulatory framework. There's typically a minimum of 550 meters for larger turbines. Those smaller ones have been away from noise receptors, so they can only be so loud. Can be mounted on buildings, may require a building permit with local municipality. However, in Ontario, small wind turbines rated at 3 kilowatts or less do not require a building permit for the tower. There's a lot of stuff, zoning, public hearings.
Yeah.
I guess that's for everything. That's why the concept of having them farther away, so you don't have this kind of these issues. It's better putting it at harsher climates or places where aren't traditionally livable are a great option. And anytime they improve designs, like I'm getting more and more a fan of solar as they become more and more efficient.
Yeah.
We talked about black metal, we talked about some of the capacitors, we talked about a bunch of the different technologies that are going to take it to the next level. And I'm hoping the next round of these technologies really start moving the needle and are solve a lot of the problems that we're having now with each of them, so that we can really rely on these renewables a lot more and deploy them better.
And don't get me wrong, I think that this development of this technology is far better than what is currently some operators are currently doing or have experimented with, and that's using helicopter-based solutions for ice removal. So they're using a Eurocopter equipped with a simplex aerial cleaning and de-icing system, and that I feel is like obviously that's a band-aid solution, but I think that for solving a problem in harsh conditions, I think this solution has the best chance so far.
Yeah, and every time we see these, I'm not negative on any of these green technologies.
Yeah.
Anytime we move forward, I don't like the version 1 of any product. I like version 3 usually. And that's just because it lasts long, it's more efficient, it does the things you want to do without crashing. The same thing with these technologies. They get better and better and better. And as they get better and better, we can now deploy them over 50 years and have them continue to work and not continuously break down. We can have a steady, reliable source of energy that powers the cities at night or whenever, a combination of. So I'm really looking forward to, as these generationals move forward, we're really taking leaps forward that we really didn't think we could do 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is wonderful. Let me just jump back here. I had to look up the urban wind tunnels that you had mentioned. Sorry about that. So I went away from where we were talking. So, but that's the scoop on this development. The N175/6X represents a major leap forward in our ability to harness wind power, even in the most challenging environments. It's a powerful new tool in the fight against climate change and for a sustainable energy future. Let us know what your thoughts are. Today, we're talking about a hidden and frankly alarming new threat at the intersection of artificial intelligence and biology. Recent research from Microsoft has uncovered a zero-day vulnerability in our global biosecurity infrastructure, revealing how AI could be used to create novel bioweapons that fly completely under the radar of our current detection systems. This isn't science fiction, it's a new reality we need to understand and confront. What's going on here, John?
Yeah. So first off, hopefully this doesn't get flagged or taken down, because trying to do research for this, I was met with a few blocks, and I think you were too. So what Microsoft did was they showed that widely available AI tools can essentially rewrite deadly toxins to make them unrecognizable to safety systems while keeping their lethal properties intact. So let's simplify this for a second. When scientists want to create proteins, like for medicines, right? They order the genetic blueprints from DNA synthesis companies. These companies use screening software to check if someone is trying to order something dangerous, like the genetic code for ricin or other toxins. So it's like having a security guard check IDs at the door. But Microsoft found that AI can act like a master forger. So it can rewrite the quote unquote ID of a toxin so completely that it looks harmless to the security systems, while the toxin itself remains just as deadly. So think of it like changing every word in a sentence while keeping the meaning exactly the same. So the screening software, which looks for exact matches to known dangerous sequences, gets completely fooled. But don't worry, the good news in all of this is that Microsoft worked secretly with the industry for 10 months to develop and deploy patches. Think of it like security updates before going public with this. So we're safe, okay? As far as based on this current research. But what scares me is that this discovery reveals we're in a new era where AI can potentially be used to circumvent safety measures designed to prevent bioterrorism and biological weapons development. What are your thoughts on this, Craig? This scared me when I first read it until I read that, yeah, they implemented patches, but still scary as crap.
Well, the main concerns about the speed at which AI can generate thousands of potential threats and the fact that our defenses are lagging behind them, the offensive capabilities of AI start to concern us. But just so you know, even after emergency patches, about 3% of AI generated toxins still bypass security.
Oh, great. Great to know.
So it's considered a zero-day flaw in their security infrastructure. This just means, I think, what we're going to have to see is, what we've been talking about since the beginning is my AI versus your AI. So they're going to have to put AI into the screening tools that will pre-do these combinational threats and have them in their database and scan for all these things ahead of time. And it's gonna be my AI versus your AI. They can patch the system to stop. Like this is, they patch the system. They don't give us any information.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Does that mean that we can no longer generate these things? Or does that mean that they patch the scanning system? I'm not 100% sure
Here's the
what the
thing, though. If
patching.
they patched it in a way that is preventing like a lock or something, people are going to get around that lock.
Yeah, that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah.
But
And like
because
just like what's it called? Dan, do anything now? Yeah.
yeah, so it's I would assume they've patched the scanning software to allow it to do this, but how do we know this? Because it's Microsoft who patched it, and the problem was in the Microsoft AI that created these things. So I'm a little concerned about what patching means. Anyway,
And how do we know how long this patch is going to last before they figure out another way around it? Like it's going to be like a back and forth, just like 0-day vulnerabilities. And except these 0-day vulnerabilities could allow someone to build a bioweapon, as opposed to hacking a system.
yeah.
Getting,
So findings triggered an unprecedented 10-month global rapid response collaboration involving the international biosecurity and biosafety initiatives for sciences, the Twist Bioscience, integrated DNA technologies, multiple global DNA synthesis screening software providers, government security agencies, academic researchers. So the collaborative effort developed and employed emerging patches to screen software worldwide. So I guess they're screening the software now better.
Okay. That doesn't make me feel any better.
Yeah, and so we'll have to as AI capabilities evolve, screening practice must evolve as quickly. So we really need to take this screening to the next level. The research highlights the complex dual use nature of AI in biology, the same tools that can accelerate medical breakthroughs that we've been talking about. The alpha protein tool from Google, as an example. I can't remember the actual name. The same tools that allow the medical breakthroughs, drug discovery, can also be weaponized for harmful purposes. So, AI protein design risks are particular concerning because protein design AI tools are becoming increasingly accessible to people. Technical barriers to misuse are decreasing. Detection methods lag behind creation capabilities, and synthetic biology biology knowledge. Oh, I'm having trouble today. Synthetic biology knowledge is spreading rapidly. So they really need long-term frameworks for structural analysis capabilities, functional prediction systems, real adaptation mechanisms, continual monitoring protocols, and international coordination systems. The researcher also established new red teaming protocols for biosecurity, creating new standardized methods for testing defenses systems against AI generated threats. So sounds like they've done a lot of work as a result of this. So we should feel somewhat better, but we're not at the end of this. We're just at the fight. I think it sounds like the door was wide open and someone said, holy crap. And we've built the door in a lock, but there's still potential threats that can get through now. That we should be aware. And as these tools proliferate and more people have the hands on them, the more, these things could happen. And we talked about, like you messaged me, I think it was yesterday, day before, how ChatGPT is going to open up some of the rules and allow you to do more stuff. And I'm like, well, I get it. It goes from, not being able to do the weirdest things for whatever reason to, hey, we're going to open it up and we're going to allow you to do more adult oriented thing. I'm like, do you really need to go that far?
Yeah.
Anyway, like it's just okay. But who's to say that these things don't get opened up in the future? That someone in China says, yeah, take off all the locks. Let's do this. That they're not developing something on the side. I say China because, but it could be anybody. So I like that we've had a global response, that we've had teams that work together and are continuing to work together to respond to these things, and that we have red teams and a global protocol for this kind of thing now that we didn't a year ago.
Yeah. So here's my thing: is they need redundancy checks. They need like triple, quadruple redundancy checks. But my question is, why do they need AI for this in the first place? Is there that many people that they can't have humans reviewing it? And it's like I feel like this is something that shouldn't be automated if it doesn't have to be. Again, I'm no expert, and like I could be completely ignorant in this, so I apologize. But like, why have AI do this?
Okay, I see what you're saying, but I don't think that's the implication, right? Like the thing is that I sit back with my tools and create something nefarious out of a bunch of different chemicals that you're not trained to catch, but it results in the same thing. Because AI puts it together in a different way or what have you. I think it would fool humans more than AI. I think we need a combination of both. And I think, just like the tools that can build these, we should have them running, 24/7 somewhere, and putting all these things in a database. So when someone comes along, it just automatically flagged because we figured that out, 10 years ago. Thanks.
Yeah.
So that's the way to stay ahead of it, is really applying more power than the enemy at finding it and detection, and putting those, the signatures in place to detect all this stuff, whatever that happens to be. If they do some sort of hash detection on these things to keep the chemical signature secure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let us know what you think. Ultimately, this research serves as a critical global wake-up call. While AI promises to revolutionize medicine and science for the better, we have to be equally aggressive in building the guardrails to protect us against its misuse. The race between AI-powered creation and AI-powered defense has officially begun. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
I think we're doing okay for time.
Yeah, I think we got one more.
Yep.
Because this one we'll be talking about quite a bit, I think.
Today, we're talking about a topic that has gone from science fiction to very real and approaching possibility: the AI singularity. Expert predictions for when artificial intelligence will surpass human intellect have been drastically cut short, moving from 2060 to as early as 2030. And even earlier, some people are predicting within 3 months. We're going to break down what's driving this change, what it means for you, and why this conversation is one of the most important of our time. What's going on here, John?
Yeah. So think of it like this. Imagine if your smartphone suddenly became smart enough to do any job a human can do: write novels, conduct scientific research, diagnose diseases, or even improve itself to become even smarter. So that's essentially what AGI, or artificial general intelligence, means. But the singularity goes one step further. It's when AI becomes so intelligent that it triggers runaway technological growth, fundamentally transforming human civilization in ways we can't predict. Think of it like the Terminator, like Skynet. That's where we're headed. And James Cameron even said he's warned us about this. So I don't know if we can call it excitement, but it comes from recent breakthroughs in large language models like ChatGPT, Claude, and others, which have surprised even experts with their capabilities. However, there's massive disagreement. Some experts say we're on the verge of this breakthrough, while others argue we're nowhere close and may never ever get there with the current technology. So, a macro analysis of surveys over the past 15 years reveals a dramatic shift, like you said, in expert predictions. So before the arrival of LLMs, and you said this, scientists in 2019 predicted AGI around 2060. Current surveys of AI researchers now predict AGI around 2040. But just a few years before the rapid advancements in LLMs, scientists were predicting around 2060. Entrepreneurs are even more bullish, and they're predicting it around 2030. And the most aggressive timeline comes from my favorite LLM, which is Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei, who predicts AGI will be achieved by 2026 or 2027. And that's based on extrapolated curves of AI model progression. So what do you think about these timelines? What do you think about the singularity? Like, should we be scared? What are your thoughts, Craig?
Well, Sam Altman suggests that his gentle singularity framework suggests that the approach envisions a gradual transformation through cognitive AI agents by 2025 and 2026 rather than a sudden change. So it suggests a smoother transition that gives society time to adapt and say, here we are in 2026, 2027, and AI is here. And we say AI here, it's artificial general intelligence that would be able to learn, reason, and create beyond our capabilities, potentially leading to the explosion of technological growth that we can't predict or control when it becomes smarter than humans in every way.
Yeah.
So yeah, this represents a fundamental turning point in humanity. Surpassing human intelligence could help us solve world's biggest problems like climate change and disease. However, it also brings major risks like economic disruption and ensuring that such powerful AI remains safe and aligned with human values.
Yeah,
In the short term,
go ahead.
no good.
So I haven't used DeepSeek R1, but that's one of the ones that represents a huge shift. So it's the first open source model that actually validates that advanced reasoning capabilities can be developed purely through reinforcement learning without pre-labeled data sets. So the model learns through trial and error, refining its behavior based solely on feedback from solutions it generates, which demonstrates a potential scaling regime with zero human bottlenecks. So that's one that really that I've never used. I don't know if you use DeepSeek, but that's part of the reason why we're advancing so fast.
Yeah, I've used DeepSeek. I don't use it all the time, but I use it from time to time. I find I'm circling Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT most now.
Yeah, and Meta's chief AI scientist, so kind of counter argument on this. So he argues that LLMs are severely restricted by their reliance on texts. So he's saying that we're easily fooled into thinking they are intelligent because of their fluency with language, but really their understanding of reality is very superficial. So he estimates a typical 4-year-old has seen 50 times more data than the world's biggest LLMs through interaction with the physical world. So he identifies 4 shortcomings: lack of understanding of the physical world, absence of persistent memory, inability to truly reason, and lack of planning capabilities. So he argues that these are fundamental architecture limitations that can't be overcome by scaling. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think he's right. Traditional computing, however,
Yes.
As soon as we introduce quantum computing and AI together, I think that changes.
Or these brain chips too.
Yeah, the massive parallel processing, the complex optimization, pattern recognition, and simulation capabilities, and the fact that we're dealing with qubits, not just bits, we can really now, I think, get to a point where we might get to a singularity. I don't think we can get to a human level intelligence that's truly that way without quantum computing. Do you think that's true, or do you think?
I agree. I agree because of the complexity of the human brain and the amount of, like you said, parallel synapses firing at once, the billions of neurons in a human brain compared to, I don't know, some transistors on a chip, which can't achieve. But we did cover some brain on chips, which I think might get us closer other than quantum. So that's where I stand on that. But yeah, quantum, I think will just expedite this once it's validated.
Yeah, this is leading to Skynet in the end, because as soon as the AI is more intelligent than us, then why would it listen to us? Exactly. And you start to think about down that road and what it takes over, and think about some of the stuff that we've actually covered, like the one I bring up all the time now is the Fury drone, the fully autonomous AI controlled air-to-air fighting machine.
Yeah.
Hello, as soon as that, we have quantum and AI that is smarter than us, it can decide what to do with all these killing machines we've built, right? And that's when Skynet takes over. And that's my doom and gloom message. But I think it's cool. They've been talking about this for a while. There is the other side of this that says it's never going to happen. We are close to the edge of what AI can do. And that we're going to see a huge shift in this bubble crashing as we start to hit a limit in the next year or so of what it can actually accomplish.
Yeah. And Gary Marcus has reported that OpenAI's upcoming Orion model is showing that GPT improvements are slowing down. And so I don't disagree with him. I don't feel like there's the big leaps from version 3 to version 4, version 2 to version 3 that we had. I don't know if that's just I don't know what the issue is with that. What the bottleneck is, or what the hindrance is, but I agree with him there. And so unless there, like you said, there's quantum computing that gets introduced, or some sort of new chip technology, I think I think I kind of agree with him. It might start slowing down, but I could be wrong. Like, there could be working on something that we have no clue, and they could have had a breakthrough, right? What we don't know.
Yeah, and it seems like they have breakthroughs all the time, so it's really hard for us to, you know, we see it slowing down, experts see it slowing down, but also experts say it's speeding up. I talk to AI investors and they're all excited, and when I say, it seems like we're at a race to the bottom, they look at me funny. When I'm like, well, everyone starts out with a $200 a month or $300, and then next thing you know, we're down to $20 because all the other competitors are dropping the price, and none of the software companies are making money. So at some point, the dam's going to break. What does that mean exactly, and what it's going to look like? Like, AI is not going away. I just think there won't be a billion AI companies. There'll only be 1,000 of them, or what have you, or right. What's it look like after the bubble bursts and the trillions of dollars of investment start to dry up?
Yeah. So the godfather of AI, Jeffrey Hinton, he estimates that there's a 10 to 20% chance that advanced AI could wipe out humanity within decades. So
yeah, and we'll stay on top of that, because I bet you if he's still alive in 5 years, that number will go up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So the timeline is shrinking and the stakes are getting higher. The key takeaway isn't to fixate on an exact date, but to recognize that the transformation is already underway. Building the capacity to adapt as individuals, companies, and as society is the most critical work we can do right now to navigate the future that's arriving much faster than we ever thought it could. Leave us your thoughts. All right. Well, do we want to rush through this one?
No, let's save it for next time.
All right.
Let's do it, though, because this is a really cool one.
What do you got going on, John?
Oh, you know me, just plugging away, helping clients secure government funding. So Shred, your Shred will be coming up soon. And if you're December year in, you're going to want to start thinking about putting together the reports and starting to get it in before March. But that's about it. How about you, Craig?
Well, there's always stuff going on at torontostarts.com. We'll have, we're doing new workshops. We have a 2026 all planned. We're doing a bunch of things with Workhouse. We're going to have way more events and things happening for different panels, workshops, hands-on stuff, courses, classes. So keep an eye on all that stuff there, and definitely flowgrammar.ca. Check that out. By the time this is out, you'll be able to go over to flowgrammars.ca, which is our community site. And there's a ton of information there. Go check that out. We're also looking for sponsors and partners to help us out next year to run these events at Toronto Starts and Flowgrammer. And if you have any other questions, just check out torontostarts.com or flowgrammar.ca, and we'll see you there.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone, for listening and watching.
Thank you.